What's going on, guys? Emo Tempest here, and today we're going to be doing the Opus XI Earth set review. Now, I'm not going to go over every single card, and as you can see, this video is relatively short. So, with that being said, I'm going to get started here. First, we're going to talk about the legendaries, the Tifa, Ursula, and I also put Arden here on, as one of the heroes. So, Tifa, if you control card named Cloud, the cost for playing Tifa on the field is reduced by 1 and can be paid with CP of any element. Category 7 forwards other than Tifa you control gain 2,000 power and Brave, and at 3 damage, Tifa gains the Category 7 forwards you control cannot be broken by opposing summons or abilities. So this card is definitely very strong. Multiple 3 abilities, and all abilities that impact the game very strong. So the first one is able to allows us to play Tifa in any deck of any color combination. So that's going to make for very useful, and being able to splash her into anything that 7 has to offer right now, as well as anything that 7 has to offer going forward. And you know for sure that 7's going to keep getting cards every set. So, and giving everyone 2,000 power and Brave is really strong, especially for stuff like the Barret, and just it really gives everyone a little bit of quality of life there. Just a little more survivability, because the more we play this game, and the further we get in the sets, the threshold for where you want to have your forwards at in a safety zone, like the safety zone for that, right, is getting higher. Before, when I started anyway, it was like you need to have things at 9k, right? 9k is a really nice number. People have to expend 2 cards for that, and which is where Tifa is right now, right? Like she's at the lowest of the threshold, if you will, 9k. But she's actually, I wouldn't even call her in the safe zone, honestly, because she's a 5 and 9k, so it's not there. But being able to pump the other one, so like Barret becomes what I believe he's goes to 11. Same thing with the bigger clouds and stuff like that. Sephiroth's as well. So putting Sephiroth's at 10 and stuff like that. So and then just allowing them to keep Brave is good too, right? Because that's just a good way to deal with ice and other things like that. And then at 3 damage, forward you cannot be broken by opposing summons or abilities. That's just more, purposeful, life stuff, right? Like, again, I was just mentioning that, being able to keep everyone alive and do stuff is going to be good. So as long as you can protect her effectively, somehow you'll be able to kind of overwhelm your opponent, or at least force a lot of cards in, force them to do bigger plays than necessary. So she was really strong. That's why I had to put her on here. Same thing with Ursula. I know I talked to her a little bit on the card of the week, but Ursula has the potential to kind of ramp up, as well as be good later in the game. The more I see her now, my monk deck is coming along, so I'll be showing that once I have some actual playtesting with you for that. And now Arden. When Arden enters the field, choose a forward. If your opponent controls it, cannot attack or block until the end of the turn. When Arden is put from the field to the break zone by your opponent's summons or abilities, play Arden onto the field at the end of the turn. So, being able to kind of control your opponent's, he's really good, right? Because he's not going to die unless you remove him from play. But being able to, put presence on your opponent, as well as presence and pressure, right? Because you can't attack or block. And so if he is able to, if your opponent does remove him or whatever, it kind of just sets you up for a better turn. They better be able to kill you, or they're not going to be able to, progress through the game against you. So it's going to be good. And 5.9 is just, a good average for those. I know I mentioned Tifa and stuff like that, but being able to recur himself is what makes him okay to still be at this range for everyone else. So these are the first 3 cards I want to mention. Next ones are going to be the Tyro, Mandragora, and Exodus. Now, again, the reason I'm not going over every card is because not every card's useful, and I'm not going to give you a 1-star rating and stuff like that. So I grabbed these because I feel like they're going to have the most impact and probably see the most play overall. And so Tyro, 5-drop backup EX Burst. When Tyro enters the field, you may search for a forward and add it to your hand. If Tyro's on the field, it can produce CP of any element, and at 5 damage, choose a forward. It gains 2,000 power until the end of the turn. So it has multiple effects. Again, things I kind of measure a good card by the kind of level of it, like its versatility, right? Obviously, so we just look red Tifa. Tifa has 3 effects. This is a rare, and it's EX burst with 3 effects, and it costs the same, right? But it does different things. Where it still has like something similar where it can be played instead of being played with any element. This can produce any element, right? So you can see the comparison there, and then you may search for a forward and add it to your hand. So this kind of like opens up. Like we were playing Star Sybil, right? Star Sybil would get us anything 11. This might replace Star Sybil in case of an engine altogether because it can produce any CP. It's also EX burst, and it also searches any forward that we want, right? So even if we are going for a Camel not into a Chaos, this would be just better, right? In theory, right? Because Star Sybil allows us to play forwards for free. So honestly, playing both seems like a good idea to me, right? Because you're just EX heavy and stuff like that. And then this also has a third effect. At 5 damage, the threshold's a little wider because it is a rare. Instead of 3, it's 5. Choose a forward against 2,000 power. So you always have this like on hand to threaten something. Mandragora, when an Earth character other than Mandragora enters the field, place a monster counter. This is good. This is the new engine for this set. Counters, monster counters, and counters of any nature really. Put Mandragora into the break zone and choose a backup of cost 5 or more and break it, which is normal. It's for 2 CP. You can break a 5 cost backup, which is okay. I can break Tyro of my opponents. Tyros are my opponents. I put them together so I can kind of show you that. It's already gonna be useful playing this card, right? And it, like Star Symbols and stuff like that. I could break a Shantoto. I don't know why I would do that, but you know what I mean, right? Just change, stop people's colors and stuff like that. I don't know. There's lots of things there. 5-drop Yuna. And then put Mandragora in the break zone. Choose 1 backup, break it. You can only use this ability if you have 3 or more monster counters placed on it, right? So, effectively, very, 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 very strong in a mono Earth deck because if you play this early, then as you go, it's just going to be able to control, let's say you have 3 of these, right? And then you just hold them, and then you make a big play, and then pop 3 of your opponent's backups. Then that means next turn they're going to be really crippled or really behind. And, it's not like they can break them without you doing something if you have the counters already, right? You're going to just keep them loaded. And so I predict this card also being very, very useful and very abusable in the near future. I put Exodus on here. At this point, it was kind of finding a little more difficult to, find out cards that stand out. But being as this is the summon of the set, so it's a 1-drop. This is our second 1-drop Earth summon that we've gotten, recently. So EX burst, choose a forward you control until the end of turn against 3,000 power and brave, which is a very common effect for Earth stuff to have. I know the old monks used to have that tap and break, and this forward cannot become dull by your opponent's summons and abilities. Also very standard now with this is that power creep that everyone's talking about, right? Because for 1 CP we get all of this, and this forward cannot be returned to its owner's hand by your opposing summons or abilities, which is something that's been brought up new with the black Alcy Gilgamesh or whatever, the new one from that Earth got also last set. And then if your opponent has received 5 points of damage or more, all forwards you control gain all previous effects. So very strong late game and very strong early on and very cheap. So just being able to keep this on hand is going to prevent you from a lot of from losing a lot of games, I think, and sometimes winning scenarios. It's just that's how this game is, right? You're gonna want to always put yourself in the best position, and so this Exodus is going to do that a lot for you, and as well as even hitting it on EX burst is going to prevent further assault on you, and so it's going to be very strong. And these last 3 were, I guess, outliers. They're a little different, but I think they're all very useful, and I think they're going to take a little more time to see play than the others, but probably still very, very much so. Now the 2-drop Cloud from the starter, we've already seen a little bit of play. Something I didn't realize when I first saw this card, and I learned this the hard way. It says put one category forward into the break zone. When you use this ability, you can target Cloud himself. Cloud will effectively search out a 3-drop forward and resolve its effect. And so this makes him useful, 10 times more useful than I had originally thought, right? So when I was originally building this, like when I originally read this, I thought that it was going into another another traditional 7 build where you would just fill up on all 7 characters and then just try to pass them, get them to become other things just to kind of like speed up the deck and keep momentum. But it's not. Once you if you ever find yourself in a situation where he's dead to you or you have him by himself, you send himself to get something more important or something like another piece or whatever, or something something to progress your state, your board state. And so for that reason, I believe he's going to be very, very, very strong. Tilica also has a lot of potential. The cost required to play characters, it's a 3-drop backup to tap her and reduce the cost of characters in your hand by 1. Cannot become 0, right? A lot of people are asking me, it's like you have to have cards for this, obviously, and this doesn't do anything immediately. But I've always been a fan of saving CP as the game progresses, right? Which is why as a water player, obviously we play Yuna because Yuna's broken. But this kind of does this for other things. The real thing is we haven't really figured out what's the best use of this for. My predictions is that this is going to lead into this card specifically is going to lead into very explosive plays going down the road, like OTKs and more 5 damage pushes or something like that. And pretty much big plays, right? Leave your opponent in a really bad situation. If we're just going back thinking about Mandragora, right? If we find a way to end up with 7 cards in hand, right? Mandragora, 1 or 2 Mandragoras in play. Tap this. Everything in my hand is super free now. It's super cheap, right? And play. I resolve the counters, pop 2 backups, have a board, pass. 0 hand, obviously I'll have I don't know, in the perfect world, right? We have that hand. We did this because that hand is pretty solid, right? We put everything out, has protection, has strength, puts my opponent behind, and does nothing. Go. And so it's going to be shutout plays or big turn plays that this card's going to facilitate, and that's why I think it's very good. I will be using this as well soon, as soon as I get some time. And then the last one is Luca. I probably should have put these backwards, but I think being able to a 2-drop that'll grow into a 3-drop that you can pitch earlier on kind of makes me. I just like the idea of it, right? I think being able to. I don't know if I'm not gonna put 3 of this right in my deck, so I don't but this will let me grow into stuff, and I'll it's a good 2-drop backup too. So I think for those reasons alone, that this card is gonna be very playable. And so I think that's going to wrap up my quicker Earth review. These are the 9 strongest cards I saw in Earth, and I really, really think they're going to be playable. If you guys are playing already, tell me how many have you seen these? What are some of the ideas you've used these cards in? Thanks for listening, guys. Check out tomorrow for another one.